This is not the plot of a science fiction movie. This is the real story of a young man who accidentally opened a portal through a science experiment, a portal that would supposedly allow him to time travel. But his obsessions with building a time machine landed him in jail, and even then, he never gave up. What he accomplished next will leave you speechless. The year was 1995, and a 21 years old named Mike Marcum was obsessed with science experiments. He was an electrical engineering student who spent most of his time building and testing strange devices in his home. His place looked like a graveyard of broken electronics, old TVs, radios, CD players, all scattered around. At the time, Mike was building a device known as a Jacob's ladder, a simple high voltage experiment using two metal rods shaped like a V. When high voltage electricity is passed through them using a step-up transformer, it creates a climbing arc of electrical spark. But Mike wanted to experiment further. He took a laser from an old CD player and focused it near the rods to heat the air and improve the arc. As the arc grew stronger and the air got hotter and ionized, something strange began to happen. Mike saw a distortion in the air above the Jacob's ladder. Curious, he tossed a screw into the energy field. The screw disappeared. Seconds later, it reappeared several feet away. Mike repeated the experiment multiple times, and every time the results were same. He did not just created a strong arc, he had accidentally created a portal. At first, he thought it was teleportation, but with more testing, Mike became convinced that he was witnessing time displacement, real-time travel. But one day, the machine overloaded and burned out. Still, Mike's mind was now consumed by the idea. He decided to build a larger portal, scaling up from a 1.5-foot device to an 18-foot Jacob's ladder. But he needed massive resources, high voltage transformers, and huge amount of electricity. With no money and no sponsors, Mike made a reckless decision. He stole 6 industrial transformers from a local power station with help of some friends. He connected everything together, but to power it, Mike secretly ran underground cables from a nearby power station directly to his house. When he turned it on, the entire town blacked out. His massive machine generated a large energy vortex. Mike began throwing objects into it, but this time nothing returned. Meanwhile, neighbors who had been watching his strange activities for weeks finally called the police. Moments later, police arrived and arrested Mike for stealing the transformers. His machine was dismantled and the experiment was shut down. But by now, Mike Marcum's story had catch the attention of the public. After serving his sentence, he was invited for an interview by Art Bell, host of the famous Coast to Coast AM radio show. During the interview, Mike revealed that he was working on a real-time machine but needed help. The episode went viral. People started donating money and some even offered space for him to build his new machine. Mike began building again, this time inside a warehouse. After a year of hard work, Mike created a new and improved version of the time machine. He tested it with small objects. They disappeared into the vortex and reappeared hundreds of feet away just minutes later. Then he tested with live mice. The same thing happened. After hundreds of successful tests, it was for the final experiment. Mike stood in front of the vortex, took a deep breath, and jumped in. He vanished instantly. Everyone searched the warehouse and surrounding area, but Mike was nowhere to be found. When Mike opened his eyes, he found himself lying in a field, with no memory of how he got there, not even his own name. Slowly, memories returned. He remembered the machine. He looked around and found a local newspaper, the date 2 years in the future. Mike had really time traveled. He managed to return into the original warehouse, but it was completely empty. No time machine, no equipment, nothing. Confused and desperate, he returned to the Coast to Coast AM show and told Art Bell everything. Mike said, "It felt like I was gone for just a few seconds, but everything was changed." He once again began building a new time machine, this time inside a Faraday cage capsule, so he could travel safely with gear, documents, and even a cell phone. Mike entered the capsule, activated the vortex, and disappeared once again. That was the last time anyone ever saw Mike Marcum. But the mystery does not end there. A few days later, Art Bell received a strange phone call. The caller claimed he had found a newspaper clipping from 1930, reporting a bizarre case. A dead body was discovered on a California beach inside a metal tube with a strange device resembling a modern cell phone. The man's appearance matched Mike Marcum. Was that body real Mike's? Did he travel back to the 1930s and die there? Or was it part of a much bigger mystery? To this day, no one knows where Mike went, and the truth behind his disappearance remains unsolved.